Yeah. In Forge the Crystal, over the V1 flag, you don't get the crystal straight off as a key item. You have to create the crystal. And to do that, you need two items. You need the Legend Sword, and you need the Adamant Ore. You then go to Kokol's shop, which is in the underworld, so we need a way into the underworld. And then you receive the crystal instead of the Excalibur. And that way, you've got your way to defeat Zeromus. However, you still need moon access after that. So we're needing 4 key items at minimum to win this seed. Right. And we have, if I saw that right, Sid, Purim, and a Luca key start. That's
I believe it was Palom. Yep.
Palom, yeah. I still get them mixed up sometimes. Twins.
Yep. So we got the Quake Kid here, personal favorite of mine, and you can already see people immediately just going and running into the shops to take a look.
Yeah, and because the $ free flag is on, everything is free, so we shouldn't have too much trouble. And Miss Dragon in the Baron Inn, which is very nice to see. Hey, do you want to explain why that is?
Yep, so we are playing with the N1 flag tonight, and the no free lunch flag means that there's no free key item from Edward at the Troya Castle. You have to defeat the Mist Dragon and then go visit Rydia's mom in Mist Village. So by finding the Mist Dragon early on, that's going to be a key item check for our runners tonight.
Yeah, it also means we're limited in the amount of character spots we're going to find. Instead of the normal 18 that you would find around the world, we're only going to find 13. So it does, and each one is going to be hidden behind a boss or behind a boss or a key item. So we're not going to find them as easy as you would in, say, a free lunch seed.
Yep. So we already got our 4 featured racers here, all checking 4 different shops already. I see Dr. Spin just finished checking Agart, and I believe Chokasura already went to Toroya to check out the 2 shops there. So everyone's on a shopping spree tonight.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything really that amazing. I would guess that their first inclination would be to find adamant armors.
I did notice Doctor of Spin just found silver apples in Mysidia, so that is one of the big finds that our runners are looking for.
And Artemis arrows found by Doctor of Spin as well. Okay, that looks to be in Mysidia. So
yeah, I think Mysidia is where the goods are tonight, at least as far as the kind of the ways that you can just sort of cheat the system with these particular flags.
Yes. Adamant armors, all the very top tier weapons are available in the shop. It's just you've got to find which shop they are in.
And some of the ones that our racers are looking for in particular may not even be on the overworld. So you're seeing them check all of the overworld shops now, but they are going to have to keep progressing through the seed as well so that they can gain access to all of the shops as well as all of the other key item checks. So.
And yeah, Christopher walking and is saying, I need to build out my team a little bit. He's gone up to Hobbs and found Yang with Mylon Z. And he's already got a couple of cat claws, so Yang's should be set for a while.
Yep, and we see Chokasura now pumping up his team. Those actually were gold apples. I thought they were the silver apples at first. So, and I noticed in his inventory, he's also got lightning bolts. So, what you're going to see probably here is lightning bolts deal damage based on your hit points, your maximum hit points. So you see him pumping up Palom here, and then he's going to start getting into battles and just throwing lightning down like there's nothing to it.
He's also got a Bahamut summon in there, so maybe he's hoping to find a Rydia. I always like a good Rydia pickup and let her go ham with that summon.
Yep.
Zeus Gauntlet, Dragoon, Helms, and Tiaras in that armor shop for the Benjinator. That's quite a stacked shop there. A Cure Freeze for Christopher Walken as well.
And I think we're also probably going to get our first key item spot check here once he's done shopping, because he's at Fabul Castle. I don't think any of our other racers have checked any key item spots yet. Just a couple Hobbs checks for Yang.
Yeah, it's just that. Yes, it'll be interesting to see which checks they make. Although Christopher Walken is saying, "Let's get a head start on this. I feel I'm ready. Let's go to Fabul."
Yeah, and he did grab a Zeus gauntlet from that Fabul shop as well, which is one of the best melee attack items you can find. So.
Indeed. No one's been to Antlion, which would be the typical starting place for progression. But I'm guessing they think, oh, we've got enough at this point. Let's, or Christopher Walken is just saying, I've got enough. Let's get this moving. And finding Karate Man Yang in Fabul, attacking his own kingdom, definitely is on the odd scale.
We got some maybe a doppelganger here, but Christopher Walken makes short work of him here, and we're also guaranteed key items at our key item checks because it's only the K1 flag today, so we'll see what he gets here.
Indeed, there's only 17 key item slots. One item will be missing because the pass is in that rotation as well. So it's really, what are we finding?
We got the pan, it looks like.
Not a bad item, but you still do need to get into the underground to use that item.
Yep, so we're going to have a long way to go here. Looks like Dr. Spin is about to show us who is guarding the treasure at Antlion Cave tonight.
Yeah, and Benjanator is doing a bit more looting, finding an Artemis bow before heading down there as well.
Yep, and there's actually kind of an interesting tension between some of the treasure-based flags in this seed. The S4 obviously gives you shops that are full of key items and potentially some of the best items in the game. But we also didn't mention the T4 flag, which also guarantees that any item can appear in a chest as well. So it's going to be interesting as the race goes along to see if runners are checking chests or just happy to go with what they find in the shops. So.
My first inclination, if I was doing this seed, would be to focus more on the shops, but other people have their own ways around it. And with the Calbrenadol's guarding the pass, we have our way to Zeromus. We just don't have anything else yet.
Yep. So we're one quarter of the way there. A little bit of progress here for Doctor and Christopher Walken. So.
It's always nice to see the pass rather than the darkness crystal because you don't want to spend the time walking through the lunar subterranean to get to Zeromus because it's 3.5 minutes just to walk the entire length.
Yep, and especially with the Forge the Crystal variant, you really want to find the pass. It's much more valuable in this particular flag set because you know you're going to have to go back to the blue planet to go underground and get your crystal forged. So you don't want to have to be on the moon, go all the way back to the moon, and then walk to Zeromus. You want to just be able to jump up and use the pass.
Yes, indeed. And they'll probably be hoping more to find the magma key as well, rather than the hook, because going through the hook is quite a difficult and daunting progress, especially for this type of team, which doesn't have a whole lot of damage to get through that Rubicante spot.
Yep, and depending on what elemental items they find as well, that could make certain bosses kind of problematic if they find them at a difficult spot too. So we'll see. Looks like Chokasura is about to fight their way through ordeals here. We'll see what he finds there. Which
isn't really bad play because the only place left is Baron Inn, and we know the Mist Dragon's there, so we've got at least 2 spots. But he still needs the damage. Yep. Although he's got lit bolts, he should be able to blaze through that anyway.
Best Odin ever.
That might as well just not come up as a number and just say dead.
Yeah, that would have been faster. So I'm actually a little surprised none of our runners
as well.
Oh man,
do you want to be any more weaker to lightning on this mountain today?
Yeah, I was just saying, you might run into the wrong elemental boss, but you also might run into just the perfect one too. So
yeah.
I'm a little surprised that no one's actually gone and done Baron in first, just because we know the Mist Dragon is there. It looks like Doctor is going to go check it out now, but that's really the only spot that we know is 2 key item checks, and for efficiency purposes, it's a good play for sure to go do that one.
Yeah, it could be they're just hoping not to go through it. Although it is Kane in the team, and Kane is always a nice addition. And King and Queen Eblon, though, is quite free because of the N1 flag. We're not. They've got their original script intact, so 3 fire 2s from the King, and they're done.
Yep, and Chokasura gets the rat tail from Ordeals, so that's a progression item that could pay off. That he ended up going there early, especially if it's the hook is our progression to the underworld here.
Yeah, we do need to find that hook seed, and really, Dr. Spin is going to see which one it is because he's done the Mist Dragon. He's got the Baron key now. This is a rabbit hole.
On we go. Yep, or it could be at the Mist Dragon spot. So we'll see if he remembers to check that or not.
Christopher Hawkins heading up Ordeals as well to get his rat tail. Because we still do have at least 3 pieces necessary, it's still a good play to go and get that, even though he doesn't know what it is yet.
And Dr. Spin using that Baron key to go check a couple more shops here just to sort of see what's there before, I assume he's just going to go right into the sewers here.
Wouldn't be surprised. Crystal rings in the armor shop, though, are very nice to find. And Christopher Walken's taking the long route. Didn't bring them lit bolts, but Palom should be more than enough to win that fight. Oh yeah, 5,000 damage on a lit 2.
Palom's going to provide his own lightning bolt. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and it's a little bit more powerful at the moment because of the way the lit bolts actually scale to the HP.
So now we see Chokasura headed to Antlion Cave, and
going to pick up his pass. He'll be happy to see that.
Sure, and it looks like Benjinator just took care of Fabul, so he will go ahead and get that pan here.
Dr. Spin hasn't been there yet, so it's really they're covering each other's tracks, just in a slightly different order to each other at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who finds that underground access first, because we've got 2 possible paths right now, either through the Mist Dragon check or through Baron Castle. Normally you would hope it was at Mist Dragon, so you didn't have to deal with some higher power bosses potentially in Baron Castle. But because we've got all the free items and all the goodies, the seed, Doctor's just charging right in there. No second thoughts.
Yeah, he should have more than enough hit points to get through the boss here, which I believe it was the Mega Sisters. That gave us the Luca key at the start of the race, but I might be mistaken.
That sounds right. I just remember seeing the Calbrana dolls a second ago, so my girl sprite senses may be a little skewed by that. So we'll see here momentarily.
Christopher Walken's got his rat tail now, so he's going to make short work of the Dark Imp and then be on his way to likely go back to Baron, because he does have the Baron key, so he must have done the Baron in without us noticing or something like that. Unless our tracker might have done a little bit of a mistake and put that hat on the wrong spot, because Dr. Spin hasn't got his marked while he is in Baron right now.
So it was actually Vanilla Bigan at the first Baron boss here. So.
Okay, I'm not sure what to make of that one.
Is this even randomized?
Is it even significantly shuffled? But no trouble because Kane, he's got he has those lit bolts, so he's going through them, building up Kane now. So he's going to have no trouble on the King spot or the Kenyatso spot. And then we'll be able to see, is that our progression, or is he having to find a bit more of this rabbit hole? He is putting the bow and arrow in the wrong hand there, though. So that is a little bit of a worry. Is that the Fabul Gauntlet?
Well, we're going to find out in just a moment here.
It is.
We're going to be here a little while.
Yeah, he should get through it fairly quickly, but this is 6 fights, and you have to go through the transition for every single one. It's still going to take around 2-3 minutes.
I'm always curious to know how they fit 16 people on that throne.
At least we know how they do the Dark Imps on that. They just stack them one on top of the other. This is a little bit more difficult, yes. And Benjanator is building up his team and ready for everything that's going to come on forward now. Yep. And Christopher is going to get his Baron Key now.
And Chokasura just got his, so we'll see if he does the same thing that Doctor did and just charge right into Baron Castle, or if he actually goes and checks the Demist turn in first.
I wouldn't be surprised if he charges back in, because it's a shorter route than going up to Mist and then coming back. Like, that's the way I see it, because you don't have to get back into the Enterprise, travel up there, go in the town, come out, get in the Enterprise again, come back down. It's a bit of route efficiency, I would say.
I agree. I'm just really curious to know what's at that Demist spot, I guess, at this point. So
I'm sure we're going to see it from Dr. Spin once he's got through this long-winded fight and actually gets this key item from here.
Yeah, I think this is the last one here, so should be through momentarily, and then just one long walk to the garbage can away from finding out what's waiting for us here in Baron Castle.
Dr. Spin might be doing a little bit of efficiency, not going to Fabul because of the... Oh, there's a foo. Because of the pan situation, although the pan is there, going to see a Yang down first, so he only has to do it what he would think as once, or possibly twice.
Well, the pan came from Fabul, so that's probably not the way of thinking, but I agree. Sometimes it is good to skip that early Fabul check if you think it might be elsewhere. I also just want to mention, we do not have a Fu flag in this set. There's no F to be seen, which means that Fu is joining with full power and his full spell set right off the bat here for Dr. Spin and anyone else who completes the Baron Castle here.
Yeah, it truly is a give the runners everything they want whenever they want it, including Fu, items in the shops, treasure chests, everything being free, and just the simple amount of character and items checks.
And we got the Darkness Crystal waiting, which is interesting on one hand because that gives us moon access, but it also means that this Demist spot probably has either the hook or the magma key, because we can't be going to the moon before we go underground.
Indeed, yes.
Just going to make me wait a few more seconds here while he does some more shopping. I'm just dying to know.
Yeah, I'm sort of hoping it's the hook, just for the sake of bringing this seed out a little bit. It's seen a little bit more about what it can give.
That would create a pretty interesting decision for our runners.
Yeah. I don't see this team having problems getting down because of Fu now, but it would be an interesting look because there are some bosses out there which are quite obnoxious in the two boss spots down there. Or we could have more of a rabbit hole.
Yeah, let's just keep going. Why not?
Earth Crystal, that's another 2 character slots, although they might well be dropped unless it's a white mage. Now, so we'll see.
Yeah. Definitely be curious to see how people manage their parties moving forward, because honestly, all of our characters are very good at this point, and I would be, especially if you've already invested the time to dump a bunch of apples into them or find some gear that works for them, you might not really want to dump any of your characters.
Yeah. The only one I could see is Palom being lost because of the fact that he is a little bit weaker in this sort of setup because of the availability of items, and you want them more than levels, and it takes him up to level I think on this 51 with the J2 flag 51 to get nuke. It might be 53.
Yeah, it's up there. You probably will not see Palom get nuke. So it depends on what the party needs and kind of who's waiting up there. We've already got some of the prime characters, so
there is the possibility that they might keep him after dumping the apples and say we can use him as a chemist. You can throw in cure freeze or elixirs at everyone.
Indeed.
And Chocosaur is through the gauntlet now, picks up his Fu, and is going to get his darkness crystal. Meanwhile, Dr. Spin is taking on that for Bull Gauntlet, and he's going to be rewarded with that pan. He's probably going to go there and think, well, at least I got it now.
So something else about the Darkness Crystal, for everybody has the pass so far, and since this is just a K1 seed, the Darkness Crystal really doesn't get you all that much unless you want to go find that character or maybe do some more efficient grinding up on the moon. But I'm pretty sure all of our runners are just going to continue down this Earth Crystal path. There really isn't any reason for them to rush up to the moon to check that character or anything like that. So I think we're just going to keep seeing everybody kind of force down this one path here until they find their underworld access.
Yeah, and with them all having been in Mysidia once, it's very unlikely that we'll ever see the lunar world get popped, unless they want to go and check that shop, which I don't see them wanting to do.
Yeah, not at this point, unless you're looking for something like Soma drops for Fusoya or some of your other mages. But we're several shop checks away from kind of feeling that kind of desperation, so.
Yeah.
So we're up to Terraria. Go ahead.
Interesting from Benjanator. He's gone to pick up that Demis check from Rydia's mother. Hasn't gone into Baron and picked up the Earth, so he might be skipping Baron for the moment and heading back to the Earth Crystal, which is the best play since we know that's our route to the underground at the moment.
That could definitely save him some time for sure.
Yeah, he was lagging a little bit behind the others because of that, but he's been catapulted at least in front of Christopher and Dr. Spim, who had to go to Fabul.
And I'll just point out too, Chakasura is pulled a little bit ahead of Doctor, just based on the fact that Chakasura already did the Terraria shop checks earlier. So Doctor had to go check out those shops and see what was available, and Chakasura knew he could just run right up into the Tower of Zod.
Yeah. Darkness Crystal Get Cooped was in the pot in Baron, and after beating the Fabul Gauntlet at the King spot. So, as Chocosaur is up in some apples on Fusoya, he hasn't got Yang. He hasn't been to Hobbs.
No, that's why he's short a character. And that makes,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with that just because you start off with Sid and you find those apples. I mean, there's nothing that really is going to scare you that would make me want to go looking for another character there. So that seems very reasonable to me.
Yeah, that is true. He's going to get some characters here anyway, so Hobbs is just less likely of a play.
One of the interesting things to me watching sort of where everybody's at right now is you've got Doctor who hasn't gone to Ordeals yet, and you've got Benjinator who hasn't gone to Ordeals and hasn't done Bear and Castle yet. And they are just kind of following down this one particular path. I'm kind of wondering if maybe in the back of their minds they feel like maybe this is the wrong rabbit hole to be down. The only runner that we have that's checked everything available so far is Chakasura, and so he's the only one that's got kind of like complete information at this point.
Indeed. Questful is behind him on that, but Chakasura has been a little bit more efficient in clearing because of that Hobbs, missing Hobbs. And Rydia and Edge in Tower.
Well,
Edge might be a possibility, but I don't see Rydia being taken.
Well, I know you saw at least one of our runners had a Bahamut summon, so it'll be interesting to kind of see if anything, if any of our runners decide to go ahead and choose to take Rydia because of that.
Yeah. And looks like they're syncing up the stream a little bit, so please bear with our restreamer at the moment. He's just making sure the timers are equal for everyone. And he did take Edge. Was that over? No, he hasn't been. He hasn't got Fu yet. He hasn't been to Baron, so that makes sense there.
So we're seeing Doctor and Benjinator are already through that first fight, and Chakasura just got through, so he'll be rolling along here in just a moment.
And yeah, Parliam is being dropped for Edge.
I can't really argue with that. That seems pretty reasonable. And we've got, just happen to have 99 Masamunes sitting in our inventory. So Edge can pick the two best ones that he likes out of that stack.
Yeah. The only thing we haven't really seen is the adamant armors still. So they're still very susceptible to the bosses down in the underworld, but at least in the physical sense. They should have more than enough hit points, I suppose, but some of them do hit hard.
Yep, and we'll just have to see. I mean, having Fu with Nuke already always makes me feel pretty confident about getting through most bosses that are going to be more powerful in the underworld, but you're right, there might be some difficult spots for them.
Yeah, even Fu has some difficulties with them because he is only able to use light armor apart from the adamant armor, so he does tend to take a little bit more damage in that case.
We forget too, because all of our characters have so many hit points in all of these racers that we're watching, but they're actually fairly underleveled in all likelihood for where they're actually at, with the exception of Fu, since he joins at level 50.
Yeah, and that's just a natural occurrence from this type of seed. You're more likely to go out and get just fight the bosses with what you are instead of having to grind in a few places.
And Kanazo goes down here at the top. Very much so, yeah. So
we're going to see a couple of people get the next area of progression almost at exactly the same time.
And
the rabbit hole continues.
But the rabbit hole contains music.
It does. So we're going to get a bit of a treat there. Do you want to explain why that is?
Yeah. So if you've never joined us before for a race, or you haven't had the pleasure of seeing someone run through the Magnus Cave, you will find very soon that we will be graced with a randomized song played by Edward from Toroya that will help us get through the fight that is waiting for us at the end of the Magnus Cave.
I still think it's the second best thing Edward does in this entire game.
What's the best thing?
Oh, just being a face down at the zeromus fight at a low level.
I suppose that does have its uses, but I don't know. I like the variety of music and the entertainment value that provides.
Yeah, that's why it's the second best thing, because you don't always hear it, unfortunately.
Now the interesting conversation for that is going to be, we haven't talked about the new beta yet, but one of the features that is coming in the next version of Free Enterprise is Edward will be able to equip the spoon and actually be able to do damage with that. So Edward may be a triple threat coming up at some point in the future here. Spoon wielding, playing music, and taking dirt naps.
Yeah, I have had a little play with that, and if you find the spoon early, it's especially useful for him, but it's not something you want to rely on because of his very slow HP growth going into the later areas of the game.
Yes, indeed. So we're going to actually get our music here from Dr. Spin, because Benjnator decided to go back and do Baron Castle, which seems pretty reasonable to me.
Yeah. If our restreamer is around, could he change the music over to Dr. Spin? That would be greatly appreciated. One of the bad benefits of having so much HP, though, is the fact that you can't... Oh, that's a little bit loud. Oh, and the tracker is doing it.
We will get you our music here, folks. Sorry. We might have to just get it on the second pass here. I believe we know at this point that everybody is going to have to go through this part of the seed anyway. Oh, here we go. Got some beautiful Final Fantasy VII music for y'all.
No, this is Final Fantasy VI, the opera. I'm pretty sure it's the opera of Final Fantasy VI.
You are right. Just took me a second.
The startup always tricks people. It sounds like Final Fantasy VII, but it's really that the opera.
I'm a little embarrassed because I even know the words and everything.
I hardly played Final Fantasy VI, and it's sort of ringing in my head as well, so I'm completely there with you. I saw it was a little bit rude in that spot, but with Nukon Fu, that's no problem.
And there's our underground access.
Just the magma key. Do I have permission to say womp womp on that?
I will not allow that, but if anybody else feels that, I know we wanted a hook seed just for a little bit more excitement. But we still got a long way to go here, and everybody's the entire underworld is just gonna be fair game for it. Any checks that anybody wants to make.
Yeah. We do still have to find the adamant and the legend sword, so we are still not even close to go mode.
We're halfway there now. We have our route to Zeromus, and we have our...
We are indeed. And we are very quickly going to be running out of spaces to check, because we've got the Luca key, which is a space down there. We've got the free area in the rat tail chest, and we've got the 2 checks from Young or from Sheila after hitting Young with the pan.
Yep, so there's all of our runners have the pan, so there's going to be a couple of, basically, like you said, free checks right away. They'll be able to check the Feymarch chest, and then go whack Yang with the pan, and then run back up to 2 more checks at Sheila. So we also have the Luca key, which is an interesting one. I'll be curious to see how our runners prioritize that. And then the Dwarf Castle check as well, that everybody will want to do right away, potentially.
I'm a little wondering of where Benjinator is going.
He might want to go see who that moon is. And maybe check that shop. Maybe there's something he's looking for in that the Hummingway pillow fort.
Yeah, that fort is probably the only way, unless he wanted to go to the shops here and just had to open it up because of the darkness crystal.
And we see Doctor going to do some more shopping right away, while Chokasura is running right for that key item chest. And we got the pink tail.
Well, there's 1 adamant armor.
There's elixirs in the Feymarch shop. And we're going to get 1 more music here, so... Kate Sith in chat makes a really good point, which I actually forgot, because this isn't your typical glitches allowed seed, but we do have glitches enabled in this seed. Because of we don't have a need for money, so we don't really need to do the item duplication glitch. And there's not a lot of situations where the MP underflow glitch would also be useful, but the one that is really useful is the warp glitch that you can do from the Dwarf Castle crystal room. So that actually makes Dwarf Castle a little bit more desirable, because you will actually get 2 key item checks for doing Dwarf Castle under these flags.
Yeah, and you would miss the boss at the Luca Cave, which is one of the fastest spaces in the actual game. So it would be nice to just skip that altogether.
Yeah, we shouldn't see any of our runners do Sealed Cave unless they forget about the warp glitch.
Considering I had forgotten about it, that it was glitchless. I'm sorry, that glitches were available. We might see a couple.
You don't need to glitch what's already broken.
Very true, yes.
We see Chokasura going down to do the pan checks with Yang.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, we've only got the Dwarf Castle armor shop. Otherwise, this seed is adamant armorless, except for the pink tail.
The one other possible place it could be is once you forge the crystal, Kokel's smithy is open for business, so we may see adamants for sale there if he's feeling particularly inspired.
That is true, but that is going to be the last thing that everyone does, so it's really just going to be an afterthought at that point.
So we see Chokasura immediately going to do 2 Sheila turn-ins here after taking care of business with the pan. So we'll see what he gets out of that. And Benji was indeed just going to shop and find that character. He's back on the blue planet now.
That's good. Hopefully he's going to go and get that magma key from the Twin Harp now and see if he can get back in the game a little bit. The first check, the hook. So use of that rat tail and the pink tail, and I missed the second one.
It was the adamant, so we've got half of our crystal.
Excellent. And okay, so just the legend sword to go, and then we're ready to go face whatever Zeromus is wanting to be today.
I think we will be. So, and that's actually pretty good that Chakasura got the hook as well, because he already has the rat tail. He can just go turn that in right away for another kind of freebie check.
Yeah. And since we are running low on spots right now, it could very well be the legend sword straight up. And Young's wife, Sheila, is holding the way to both pieces of the crystal, which really wouldn't be surprising.
We're running out of spots to check here pretty quickly. So also, I got a little chuckle board up here on Benjanator's screen. That's pretty funny.
Quest for Walking is in Dwarf, and there are no adamant armors. So there are no adamant armors in the shop seed unless they're at Kakul's place.
And there's our legend sword for Chakasura, so he is ready to go.
He is, and so Sheila did hold the way to both pieces of the crystal.
Sheila with maximum value tonight. And this is going to be interesting because the rat tail was... two of our featured runners here haven't even seen the rat tail yet, because I believe that was on Ordeals.
Yeah, and Benjanator's just going to get it now. That's where he is.
Well, that's going to be good for him, but it wouldn't surprise me for Doctor and some of these other runners that are not featured if they end up clearing the entire underworld before they go back to check Ordeals.
That is true, and looks like Chukasura is going to make a check of the shops in Dwarf quickly before going to the Kakul shop, probably looking for those adamants or maybe a couple of other items.
Well, it's good to have the goods, so we'll see here. Yeah, I can tell he's definitely looking for adamant armor.
Yeah. One place we haven't checked, I just remembered, is the shop in Ebelin Cave.
And he's the only one that would have access to that right now, so we'll see how much.
How much does he want to go and check it?
I have a feeling he probably just checked Dwarf Castle because it was on the way to the city.
Yeah, Chokesor isn't usually one to make a trip out of the way if he doesn't need to. He's more than happy to go in with what he's got, likely. So, Dwarf Castle with Mylon at the second spot with a duplicate Fu. I didn't see the first boss.
It was Bahamut. Oh. And the one thing Chokasura did find, which will be really helpful in the Z fight, is he's selling Excaliburs, so kind of making his usual wares there at the smithy. But because Chokasura has edge, he can just start whipping Excaliburs at Zeromus.
Yeah, and they're likely going to be doing something like 7,000 damage each throw, which is more than a Lit Bolt would do at maximum health.
He does have that one adamant armor from the pink tail, so put that on Fu. I think that's going to be his healer in all likelihood for the fight if he needs one, although he can probably just throw a bunch of Cure 3s or elixirs or things like that as well.
It's more likely going to be elixirs, guarantee that full heal, get full health for the what may very well be throwing in kamikaze strats for some reason. I'm thinking he's going to do that if he's found the kamikazes.
We got the tower key coming out of Dwarf Castle here for Christopher Walken. So,
yeah, that's in the Luca Cave spot because he has done the warp glitch.
Yes. So then we'll find out what the other item is here momentarily. But we also have to figure out whose butt we're going to kick tonight. So,
yeah, if people haven't seen this, zeromus isn't exactly your normal shape after you use the crystal. The Z flag randomizes the sprite. We've got over 250 created by Boardface, the designer of this randomizer, and Scarlet Kitty. You can never really tell which one it's going to be until that crystal is thrown. Fu, show us who we're fighting.
So Chokasura's got a lot of really good stuff here. Oh my.
I think we're being invaded.
Spacemus. So Chokasura has exactly one kamikaze, so this will be interesting to see if you can. If you've never seen a kamikaze kill of zeromus before, it's actually pretty amusing. I will not spoil it. But if he can pull that off with his one kamikaze, that will be very amusing.
And he's using it straight up.
Oh, no reason to hold on to it, I guess.
Yeah. It is almost guaranteed 9,999 damage, so get it out, get it before the Big Bang.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Christopher Larkin is checking Lower Babel, it looks like, because he has the tower key. So we'll get a couple more non-essential items checked off the list here for him.
Yeah, it looks like the package was the item from Dwarf Castle itself. So something that's also not going to be checked.
And Doctor also just cleared that first Tower of Babel spot.
Those Excaliburs are only doing 4,000 or so because Edge is so low level. It's a little bit interesting, that, because the throwing mechanic is, I think the Excaliburs are 155 power multiplied by Edge's level. So he's only something like level 30, maybe 35 at most.
Yeah. And he's doing a really good job with these other items, but he is eating counter nukes on these lightning bolts, which is definitely taking more time and maybe slowing things down a little more than I'm sure he would like in a more traditional zeromus fight.
Yeah. My usual way of doing this is putting Star Veils on everyone and then throwing the lit bolts with lizards, whichever one I have, and then all his nukes being reflected back at him. And Benjinator has his way to the underground. He has got the magma key.
We also have a first place finisher, Simbu, 48-33.
Yeah, sniped away from Chokasura, who is likely going to be finishing up very soon. Is he reflecting nukes now for the quick kill? He's done enough damage.
He could be doing that because throwing Excaliburs does not count as a physical attack, and neither do the lightning bolts. So yeah.
They do counter the count. They do trigger the counter, which does the refresh on zeromus though. So what he's trying to do is skip that counter refresh by reflecting nukes and viruses from his characters onto zeromus, just to make it a little bit quicker for him. And we have our second place finisher, Silverstar 6609, finishes with 49 minutes and 40 seconds. He has got his traditional second place.
Good close finish there.
And Dr. Spin is just jumping into Sheila to pick up his hook and adamant, and then likely going to get his legend sword, so he is well on the way to get into zeromus.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have the rat tail yet, but hopefully he will get onto that soon.
That is very true, so he's still got a little bit of a ways to go. Hopefully he remembers ordeals.
And our 2 items out of tower were the sand ruby and the spoon, so no real help there to anybody to sort of clear things up.
Yeah, or really any help for zeromus itself, because the only real items needed are maybe that pink tail.
Yep.
The spoon is nice to throw in, but that's really all it is right now.
Oh. And we're seeing this zeromus fight kind of dragging out a little bit. It's not, in danger in any way, but it's just it's a little bit of a slog with the strategy that we have for this particular flag set.
Yeah, the lip bolt is fairly safe as long as you've got elixirs, but it is very long-winded, much more so than berserk strats or reflex strats. And especially with Parlam only using virus instead of nuke, it does tie into that, why it's taking a little bit longer than it should. Dr. Spin is going up ordeals though, so he has remembered that he hasn't done it yet.
He'll be pretty happy in about 3 or 4 minutes here, I imagine.
Indeed.
And we've got Christopher scrambling some eggs down here, so he's getting himself ready for the end game here.
I wonder if he knows that all he's got left really is Sheila, and going to go and pick and going to get those items. Pretty much, he's got everything else apart from the pink tail, which I expect he does have since he's likely been down Famosh. But I couldn't tell you for certain.
I would assume so as well. Yep.
So he's just grabbing some levels, just making sure he speeds up the zeromus fight a little bit with maybe a little bit more physical damage.
Or maybe trying to get nuke for
Could
Palom.
cost him though. No, because Benjanator is going to go and make his Sheila checks now. And Dr. Spin has already done it and is just picking up his rat tail. So
Yep, so everybody's kind of converging here on their end games to play out.
yeah, it could be a close race between Dr. Spin and the Benjanator for that second place on the stream side of our runners.
Indeed, and meanwhile, other runners, we have a 3rd place finisher, Dusty Griffin, time 53 minutes and 59 seconds. So GG to him.
I wonder if Chocosaur is thinking, this is taking way too long. There must have been a better way of doing this.
I think the only other real option he would have had would have been to grind more, potentially, so that Edge and Palom could dish out more damage. But it's definitely something to maybe consider asking about once he's finished up here.
Yeah. This is a race environment, though, so got to go fast. Just this hasn't been especially quick. And there's a flash, and he has finished in an official time of 54 minutes and 31 seconds. GG to him.
GG
And
to
We're going to try and get him in for a interview in just a moment.
Meanwhile, Dr. Spin is going to get his hook, so he should be well on his way to his very own crystal. And we see Benjinator going to pick up the other half of his crystal as well.
And there is Chokosora. GG.
Thank you.
It looked like you had a little bit of trouble in that Z fight there.
I had my calculator in front of me, and I was 1,000 damage short of skipping his refill.
Ow.
And I kind of knew I messed up when I bounced that virus and my wall ran off, so I just said, screw it. I'm just going to go ahead and, not
just
bother.
gonna finish it up traditionally, and you could say we're just with straight damage.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's a tricky thing to pull off, especially when your options are pretty limited by what you can do with the items and chucking Excaliburs and things like that. So handled it just fine. It's just unfortunate that it didn't quite work out for you there.
But I was looking for kamikazes. I kind of figured they were either on the moon, which I didn't feel like taking the time to check, or they were in Eblin, unless I missed them somewhere.
I believe Eblin was the only place that wasn't checked, and I think we're suspecting that it had the adamant armors in there as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of figured. I mean, once I got the crystal, I just decided to say, let's just go.
No. I have to say, I really liked some of your early routing. I thought you did a job kind of going to the high yield areas right away, going to Taroya immediately and checking those two shops, and also bypassing Hobbs, which all of the other featured racers stopped off to pick up Yang there, but you were just kind of full speed ahead, checking shops and key item checks. So do you want to talk a little bit about your early game strategy there?
Sure. I was kind of hoping that either Adamant or Legend was in one of those early spots, but you take gambles, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. And these kind of seats, I usually just skip getting characters like the one on Hobbs. I just kind of get characters as I go along. So
yeah, it definitely paid off for you, giving you that little bit of an advantage over the other streamers. And we've just seen on Dr. Spin's stream that kamikazes were on the moon, so some place you were never going to go.
Exactly. That's why I didn't feel like going there, because I knew it was going to take time to do the cutscenes, and so
yeah. We were a little bit surprised that a couple of our runners did go to the moon to check the shop, because Miss Dragon was on the planet. Most of the other items were there. It's just that going out of the way for that shop is a little bit not a good play, I would say.
Right. I mean, there's just really no need to go to the moon, in my opinion, on this kind of flex it.
Yeah.
Unless you had to.
Yeah, and everybody had a pretty good party going through the beginning of the game with two really good characters right off the bat, and finding Kane and Fu so easily. I think everybody ended up with all of them. So I definitely agree with you there. I'm just kind of curious too. The beginning of that seed, it took a really long time to find the underworld access. You actually were one of the only people who did all the checks along the way. Do you ever kind of feel a little anxious, or how do you feel when you're kind of following one long line of key item checks like that and not having it kind of pay off with what you're really looking for?
I mean, well, that goes back to my earlier routing. You know, I do those kind of checks to see if, you know, something important is there, like, you know, magma key or hook or whatever. Unfortunately, this time just didn't pay off for me. But
it was a
usually
very long item chain, to be perfectly
it
honest.
was, yeah. I was suspecting it was in Zot, but it wasn't. I kind of figured it was a chain after I saw what was in Zot. So
we were when we were commentating, there was a really interesting split between the D-Mist was guarding the Baron Inn, which turned out to be the Baron Key. So we were kind of curious if everyone was just going to go straight into Baron Castle, or if it was, you know, anybody was going to go do that D-Mist check first. Ultimately, it didn't really matter, but there was just a few points there where it really kind of diverged. You had a really big advantage to having that rat tail early on from going up ordeals, and it really made your routing really efficient once you just did the pan check there.
right, and on this kind of flag set, I usually try to go to ordeals first if I can. I mean, if some of the shops give me what I need to actually kill the bosses there, which thankfully, when I found those apples earlier, I knew I could, you know.
And having picked up the lit bolts themselves, and having two bosses which were just very, very susceptible to lightning as well.
Definitely.
So we'll let you run on your way and probably take a small break. GG to you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, nice job.
Thanks. All right, take care.
You too. In the meantime, we have had Pidge0_1 having our 5th place finisher with a time of 1 hour and 18 seconds. Hippos in 6th with 1 hour, 1 minute and 18 seconds, so just a minute later. And Dave UTC in 7th place with 1 hour, 2 minutes and 6 seconds.
We've also got Benjinator in the Z fight here, so you know he's trying to take that down. And Christopher is done with his egg grind, and we also see Dr. Egg grinding now as well. So some folks here wanting to get some extra power on their characters before going into that Zeromus fight.
Yeah, Benjinator hasn't done that because his Excalibur throws are still doing that mid 4,000 range, so still at those level 30s or something like that. So this could take a little bit of time.
I'll be curious to see. We have our 2 racers who have chosen to grind, and then we got our other Chokasura and now Benjinator who went right to the Z fight. And I'll just be kind of curious to see if there's a noticeable difference between how those fights go for them.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be. It's all down to how much damage Edge puts out, I think, more than any of the others. Because Fu's pretty much set with his level 50s and Nuke. It's Edge's Excalibur throws and maybe Yong's physical attacks if he goes that way. Because he can do some pretty decent damage when berserked.
Indeed, and Christopher has his crystal now, so he'll be off to the Zeromus fight.
And he landed in that one spot.
It happens to the best of us.
When you land there, you just think, why is this even here? And he is reflecting nukes as well, so maybe he's aiming for skipping that refill. No, he is still throwing firebombs, so not quite. He is in meteor phase, though.
We do have rocks falling from the sky, so he should be wrapping up here shortly.
We have had Nitsky finish in 8th place with a time of 1 hour and 4 minutes and 37 seconds. And Dr. Spin and Christopher Walken are going up to Zeromus almost at the same time. Not quite, but almost. And there's the flash. And his official time is 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 59 seconds. So just 22 seconds behind Nitsky.
Very nicely done by Team Bort there.
Got to wonder how much time he's spent just on changing names.
I'm afraid to ask him if he thinks it took more than 22 seconds, but either way, as long as people are having fun and enjoying themselves and getting the most out of playing this wonderful game, that's all we care about here.
It pays to be entertaining.
Always a crowd pleaser.
And Benjinator, GG to you. How did that feel at the end there? Looks like we've got a couple of issues. I think he needs to sort out his settings on his mic. So speak up when you're ready. Oh, there you go.
You know, I had it on mute. I'm sorry about that.
That's fair enough. You were just racing. You didn't want your sound coming out.
Right, exactly. No, I think it was a pretty good day for Team Bort, actually.
Yeah. We did notice that. Did you? Was that premeditated before you even started this seed?
You know, I kept saying that one of these days, it was a joke with my friends, it's just one of these days, if I'm ever restream, I'm just going to name every character Bort and see what happens. And I just decided to go for it today, especially because this was like a kind of a faster race.
Yeah.
I figured I'd kind of throw a little bit of variety in there.
Yeah.
I know it made me smile every time I looked over at your feed there, so...
Yeah. Well, you're welcome.
You did miss out the T on one of them, though, so we can't say it's a full Bort team.
Right, it was 4 Bort and 1 Boar. That's right.
Well, you know, Podrick, they were out of the Bort license plates. That's what happened. So
that is exactly true. Yeah, yeah. They just ran out of Bort license plates, so they had to deal with Boar. So it's all right.
Did you enjoy your rabbit hole to get underground?
Yeah, that was, I definitely got to a certain point where I kind of was, because I had done a practice seed with this before, and I was kind of afraid it was going to be 17 out of 17, but I was pretty happy to see, you know, certainly after Dark Elf's Cave, and then once I went underground to find out that I got both of the items pretty early. There was a couple times where I was thinking, maybe Dwarf Castle's got something, but I think obviously, you know, because I had the pan, and you know, I was thinking about going to Luca Cave, but I'm kind of glad I stuck to a safe route that time, just because in this case it paid off. Usually it doesn't. Usually I have to go to Luca Cave for something, but this time it turned out okay.
Yeah, Dwarf Castle was a little bit more of a rabbit hole. It had the tower key, which led to everything else.
Oh, yeah, that would be... I'm really glad I avoided that then.
It was very odd how it took so long to get, and then really the only thing you needed to do once you got underground was bonk yang with the pan and run back up top, and you were good to go.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of what I was hoping for, because so many times I've tried seeds like this, it's not that simple. It usually leads to more stuff. I was kind of hoping that the Earth Crystal would actually pay off more a little bit earlier, because, you know, I was in kind of a position where there were a lot of paths open pretty early on, so I was kind of hoping that something would be more definitive. But all things considered, I've dealt with much trollier seeds, so this wasn't too bad.
Indeed.
It was kind of interesting. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. It's fine.
Oh, I was just kind of curious as well, because I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were the only one of our 4 featured runners that you actually checked the demist spot before you checked Baron Castle. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And the reason why I did that is just because Yeah, I wanted to. I just wanted to kind of check that area in case. Routing wise, it probably wasn't the most efficient way to do it, but I thought, well, before going to Baron, I was going to check the Earth Crystal, and then once I got the Earth Crystal, I was that's when I was kind of teetering. I was like, going to Baron seems like the best play, but at the same time, Earth Crystal sometimes will pay off, and also, the reason why I went that route too is just because of the 2 characters I was going to get, and I thought, if I could get somebody better than Palom, I was going to go for that, but of course, Baron Castle had Fusoya, so that was the most important thing.
Yeah, just going to interrupt a little bit because Doctoral Spin and Christopher Walken have finished almost at the same time. Before that, we did have Rumblefish finishing in 1 hour and 6 minutes and 36. Doctoral Spin finishes in an official time of 1 hour 9 minutes and 29, and Christopher Walken in 1 hour 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Very, very close right there, and not too far behind you as well, Benjanator.
Oh yeah, GG's to them for sure. It looks like all the times are pretty close, actually.
Yeah, everyone's kind of rolling into the end here. I wonder how many of these late finishing runners, Doctor and Christopher both did the full 18 out of 18 on this one. So.
Work.
Yeah, that make.
Hello, Christopher Walken, and.
Hello.
So, everything seems to be okay. Did you feel your grind helped at the end there?
It certainly made the Z fight a little quicker because I was just able to free nuke on with Palom there.
Yeah, that did make your Z fight a little bit quicker. A bit quicker than yours, Benjanator. Did you feel that you could have done it any quicker?
Yeah, probably. Obviously the reflected nukes kind of helped, but I was in one of those positions where I didn't grind at all, so using those fire bombs kind of seemed like the best way, but then again, it kind of takes up time when you get counter nukes and so forth, so I was trying to figure out ways to do better. There were times where I thought about berserking Edge, but when I got those Excaliburs, I just kind of thought, I'm just going to throw those all day, every day.
Yeah, who wouldn't? Like, free stack of Excaliburs, I'll be chucking those like things I can't mention in a family-friendly stream.
Okay, so really, I think. Do you have any more things about the seed, Benjanator?
It was a fun seed. I definitely appreciate every once in a while races where everything is kind of free, especially because on Monday there was kind of like cata flags, so this was a nice change. So yeah, I had a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed Team Board, because Team Board is important.
Indeed. It's have a good evening, and well, we'll get on to request for a little bit more.
All right, thanks guys. GG.
GG's.
GG.
So, Christopher, apart from the zeromus fight, which you probably felt went fairly smoothly, what sent you to the tower after while you were underground?
I had just picked up the tower key, and knowing that Natara rolled this wonderful seed, I figured the tower would troll us with one of the two, either the adamant or the legend sword behind that tower key. Turns out I was wrong.
Yeah, fair enough. Sheila, though, does hold a lot of goods most of the time.
Yeah, Sheila had all the goods this time. All the goods.
Do
you have any questions for Christopher Moonblaze?
I guess I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are on the apple seeds or the shopping percent in general. Is it something that you enjoy? What's your kind of thoughts, or how do you approach these kinds of seeds just in general?
Shopping percent seed, I love them. When I play just kind of for fun with friends, we usually do forge the crystal shopping percent. Even T4 S4, and even then I avoid chests completely. I don't know how much attention you paid, but the only chest I opened was in the Fey March. So it's just one of those you'll get what you can get from the shops and go from there, because that'll generally have everything you need to win.
Yeah, and thankfully the shops were pretty generous this time. You didn't have to. Nobody really had to looking for in a seed like this.
And in T4 you usually don't. They're usually generous enough to where you can crank through a seed real quick. At least that's been my experience with them, to the point where T4 you can have S4 and it doesn't matter what the T flag is, as long as that's all you need.
Yeah, indeed. So, and it was really good to see all of featured routers really utilize some really good strategies for getting through these apple seeds or these shopping seeds. So it was really good to see, and I think everybody put on a really good show for the audience tonight.
Yeah, I thought I was doing really, really good, blazing along, and then who was it? Simbu and Silver Star crank out a time of sub 50. I'm like, dang, they must have routed it perfectly.
Yeah, the routing, I would say, was it was kind of interesting. The one key thing that I suspect all of the early finishers did, that I don't remember if it was you or Doctor, but if you skipped ordeals early on, it really came back to bite you, because all you really needed to do in the underworld was go hit Yang with the pan and then run back up, and there you go, you were on your way. But if you had not checked ordeals yet, you didn't have that rat tail, and suddenly that check is competing with 3 or 4 other spots that might be more appealing, especially someplace like Tower or Dwarf Castle where you can get two checks in one.
Yeah, I've kind of learned that ordeals is one of those weird places that more often than not it doesn't have anything, but when it does, it really bites you in the rear. So I just routed in, especially when you get this wasn't a Fusoya challenge, but in Fu challenge seeds, that's a quick 3 easy bosses. That's 300 hit points, 9 spells, and that's just a real quick way to power them up, because the bosses there are usually pretty simple. They don't have a whole lot of hit points, and you can take them out pretty easily.
So, I suppose everything really went and well for everyone, because everyone finished in a fairly quick time. Any other hot takes about the seed that you can think of?
I should have known that since Natar rolled it, I would have ended up going 17 out of 17 or 18 out of 18, whatever it was. But yeah, such is life.
Okay. So,
well, nicely done. It's tough when it's this fast of a race. And if you just kind of get off the ideal routing, maybe just a little bit, suddenly find yourself a little bit more towards the back of the pack. But I thought all the play was really good and well done.
Oh, I appreciate it. I've been practicing quite a bit and looking forward to playing some more.
Absolutely, and we'll see you on here again soon, I'm sure. Nice job.
Thank you much. Thank you to the commentators, the restreamer, and the tracker.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Work.
He's a character, most definitely. And we'll just have a quick word with Dr. Spin, and then we'll see what's going to come up next. If he's going to come in.
While we're waiting here for just a moment, this is just a good time to remind everybody our free enterprise Discord is available, and we love having new folks around. If you watched the seed tonight and you're curious to find out more about our little community, please visit us on our Discord. We have community races twice a week, 6 p.m. Central Time on Friday nights and 8:30 p.m. Central Time on Monday nights, and often daily pickup events and everything else on a regular basis as well. So very active, very fun community, and we hope you enjoyed what you saw, and if you want to learn more, that's where you can find us.
And Dr. Spin, are you here?
I am.
Excellent. And so, how did you feel about the seed? very quickly, since we do have to finish fairly soon.
Okay, yeah. I mean, with a jet seed, I mean, I always do terrible with them, but always do them fast, but never root them as fast as anyone else. So.
Yeah, it's a tough balance to strike. I mean, I thought that everybody really did a good job just kind of working through it. It was difficult with how everyone sort of got stuck on the underworld or the overworld at the beginning, I should say. But everybody kind of just powered through it in order. I guess the one difference that we noticed between the two earlier featured finishers and then you and Christopher Warpkin was choosing to grind or not. Do you want to just kind of go through what your thought process was on that a little bit?
Well, I just thought, since I had a heavy fighter team, but not necessarily the most optimal equipment, I would want to just get them a little bit so they have a little bit more weight behind their punches. I probably could have skipped that, just focus more on Fasoya nuking and darting with edge, and then just have them as healers. But yeah, I tend to like having a high level characters just to overpower everything. So.
Well, it certainly made your zeromus fights a lot easier. That was, but with all the items and everything else, it is definitely possible to get through that zeromus fight with fairly low levels, just because you can throw the items and you have the hit points. But it certainly makes for a much more streamlined zeromus fight if you do some of that grinding.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really have too much really to say. Any other things that really came out that you felt odd?
No, I mean, it was interesting that everything sort of got hidden a little bit. Like the legend sword behind the rat tail and the hook behind the pants, and that made it a little bit.
Yeah, and that very long chain just to get underground. So.
Yeah. It made for an interesting grind to find the stuff, for sure.
Yeah, there were a couple spots that people could have skipped, but they weren't really the obvious ones that most people would think to skip. So I think pretty much everybody just full cleared the overworld and then ended up with.
Yeah, well, I don't think you could have got down any other way except the magma key, so you would have eventually had to have done it.
Yeah, I just mean as far as maybe not. I think most people check things. I think you didn't do ordeals until later. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So I mean, there was one or maybe someone else that did that, and I think that Benjinator waited to go check on Baron T and some of this other stuff. So people did a little bit here and there that they kind of had to go clean up afterwards. But for the most part, just because there was that whole item chain that really ran through most of the overworld, everybody ended up checking a lot of stuff before they ended up underground.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, nicely done. It's a difficult. Those fast seeds can be difficult to manage, but I think you and everybody else did a really nice job. And I mean, do you like the apple seeds? Is that kind of a favorite of yours?
I like the seeds where you can get some of those items. Sometimes they're just fun just to become so overpowered, but I think my favorites tend to be a little bit more grindy, like more key areas to search, and that's something that you just have to grind out, like have to know how to do the fights and that in a more traditional way. Sure,
yeah. So it can be a little more autopilot with the free, all the basically, the overpowered stuff for sure. So I hear you there.
Looks like we've got our next streams coming up. So I think we should leave it at that. But GG to Dr. Spin, and hopefully we'll see you again in another seed.
Great. Thanks for having me on stream tonight, and yeah, thank you.
Nicely done.
Thanks.
No problem. Thank you very much, Moonblaze, for commentary with me today. Right?
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. And if you are a fan of speed gaming in runs, right now we have on Speed Gaming 1 on Sonic 3D Blast a Switch release tournament race. On Speed Gaming 2 there is a Super Metroid A Link to the Past randomizer, the winter tournament. On Speed Gaming 3, there is a Nair speed run going on. Not sure what that one is. On Speed Gaming 4, Super Mario Odyssey, the Dark Side tournament is currently running. And up next on Speed Gaming 5, there is a Super Metroid and A Link to the Past Winter Tournament race. So if you are wanting any of those, enjoy those and stick around. As for myself, I will be signing off, and Moonblaze, I'll leave the last word to you.
Likewise, I hope everybody enjoyed the race. Have a good night. We'll be back next week with another community race here on Speed Gaming.